What is up, you absolutely wonderful Magento loving friends of mine? I'm here to bring you another practice test question. And you're probably noticing I am wearing a puffer vest. You see, the temperature in Kansas, here in the middle of the United States, right in the middle of the states, if you drew straight lines, you'd come across the middle right here in the state of Kansas. The temperature flips and flops faster than a politician could ever dream of here in this wonderful state of Kansas. So it was literally summer yesterday, and we had snow flurries coming out of the sky here today. So forgive the crazy apparel. Let's talk about our practice test question. I will say, as a quick preamble to my explanation for this is an interesting question. First, I don't think we've ever done a question about multi-source inventory, MSI. And this one I can see being slightly controversial. I am absolutely dogged on performance, almost at the cost of anything else. But I know there still needs to be some balances. So that's why I'm curious to hear the conversation from your perspective, how all this fits together. What do you think as far as how should we accomplish this type of a scenario? Because it's a real-world scenario, and we need to be able to do it I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's see what this says here. All right, so you are looking to provide a very fast lookup for a saleable quantity for a product. The request for this data could be several hundred products at a time. However, this data must include reservations and minimum quantity exclusions. The merchant has agreed that no additional modifiers to the logic are necessary. So, question, how do you get each product's saleable quantity in a performant manner? Take a look at the answers. Load the direct data directly from the inventory stock index tables. B, build a custom solution to fetch the data. C, call get saleable quantities data by SKU for each product. And D, join the inventory source item and the inventory shipment queue tables. Okay, so what option would you select? And I'm curious to hear what you would select. But here is what I think of each one of these answers. So first, load the data directly from the inventory stock index tables. Now, actually, let me jump down to the first. The answer that probably most of you will select, and that is the get saleable quantity data by SKU. There's another rendition, the get product saleable quantity. Let's go over and look in the code and see what this actually does. So one of my favorite conversation starters about multi-source inventory is how is the saleable quantity column loaded in the product grid. There's that column. It's unfortunately not filterable, which is a definite frustration for a lot of merchants. There's just no way to filter by inventory anymore with multi-source inventory. And I have not seen any tools out there, and I'm working on one, but it's kind of tough. So anyways, I shouldn't get ahead of myself here. All right, so we have get saleable quantity data by SKU. I open this up. We have quite a few queries that are run for every single SKU. We see that we are iterating through the items in this UI component. We're passing in the SKU. We're getting the assigned stock IDs by SKU. We are getting the stock repository, the stock item configuration, whether or not it's managed stock. Ultimately, then we could get the product saleable quantity. Depending on the requirements, it might be get saleable quantity data by SKU, or it could be ultimately get product saleable quantity. Either one would depend on a further vetting of the requirements, but they're both pretty close to each other. All right, so we validate the product type. Now we get the stock item data. I think, no, stock item configuration. So it's slightly different. We are getting the stock item configuration again. So that's a duplicate query unless it is cached. And I don't believe it is. Nope, this is not. I don't believe this is cached. So we're 2 hits for this database for the same thing. Get our minimum quantity. And now here's what we return back. The product quantity in stock is equal to the stock item data, the quantity for this associated source item. Not for the source item. This is get stock item data. This is loading from the catalog inventory stock status, or actually from this stock index table name resolver. So provided we're using MSI, right? This is questions assuming that we are. This is loading from the stock index table. Interesting. So if we jump back here, this is loaded from a stock item index, stock inventory index here. So this is the indexed value that's coming from here. Thus, we then add reservation quantity and the minimum, minus the minimum quantity to this list, to these values. So this would be an accurate answer, answer C, and that means that answer A, as we jump back over here, is invalid because if we load it directly from the stock item index tables, we are no longer fulfilling the requirement for bringing in the minimum quantity and excluding the reservations. As such, A is out. Now, it comes down to C or D. Well, take a look at the tables information here. So we're going to pull this up. Inventory. I don't see anything with the inventory shipment queue in here. Maybe I'm imagining it, but after all, I did write it and did come up with this answer. So that does not exist. So that means that we're down to two answers here. B and C. In theoretical terms, C is the correct answer. However, the requirements were keeping performance, basically keeping performance in mind, which means that I think we should ask C because the question very explicitly called out the three requirements. And this is what the requirements are. Must get saleable quantity, which consists of the source or the quantity, reservations, and minimum quantity exclusions. The reservations and minimum quantity exclusions, those are all available in the database. We have to use a pretty massive query, but those are all available to the best extent of my knowledge. And I will, I will post the query as proof of this concept. It's here, and it is available. So as a result, actually, here we go. I forgot that I had this available. I'm going to open up our sample project. And I'm working on tweaking this still, but let's see here. Inventory filter. This is a work in progress. So you can see this before it's complete. But this is what I have. But you can see my commits that I'm still working on here. This is a way that you can load the saleable quantity that's available here. So this is really, it's a lot of effort, but this is incredibly performant. Last I saw it was for, I don't remember how many products, it was like 120 milliseconds or less. I mean, so it's slower than a query should be, but at the end of the day, it's way faster than running hundreds of queries for a whole bunch of products. So this will not make your life easier, I can't promise that, but it will make the merchants you work for much happier because you're going to build performant websites for them. So keep up the great work.